Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle. We are in 114th session of the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle, and we are discussing chapter number 10. And we have already covered about 31 verses in this particular chapter. So, before we begin, let's dedicate this session to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON and my beloved spiritual master. So just like every time, we all begin with the pranam mantras. So all of you can join along with me and chant the pranam mantras along with me. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back. We have Dev with us. We also have Hina Mataji who has joined. So thank you so much for joining. We have discussed some very, very important things in the previous session. Verse number 28, 29, 30 and 31. We are going to continue from verse number 32, but let's have a quick recap of what we actually discussed in the previous session. We had discussed that how Krishna is mentioning some of his opulences so that we can remember him. All these opulences he's mentioning so that we can remember him in our day-to-day life. So Praladas chasmi daityanam kalha kalayatam aham mriganam cha mrigendroham vainite yasya pakshinam. So among the Daityas, he is actually Prahlad Maharaj. He has said that how Prahlad is great among all the Daityas, although he was born in a demoniac family, but Prahlad is the greatest of the devotees. And Kalaha Kalayatam Aham. So Kalaha means time. Of all the subduers, I am the time. Is there anyone in this world who can actually subdue the time? There is no one. In fact, Hina Mataji had discussed, she had asked me a question about time. And today we will cover about 2 or 3 verses. And next, after this, we will discuss a little bit more about time because it's a very important subject matter. And we will discuss in detail about the aspects of time, the concept of time, so that we at least theoretically understand what is this time all about. The Vedic time. When we talk about time, it's about Vedic time. Okay. And then among the beasts, I am the lion. Lion, we know that is a very, very powerful animal, a wild animal in the forest. And then among the birds, I am the Garuda. So Garuda, here we know that among the Pakshis, among all the flying birds, Garuda is very, very powerful, very swift, very sharp, and he's a very ferocious attacker also. Then in the next 31st verse, we had discussed that Pavanaha Pavatam Asmi, how that air or wind is actually a purifier, right? We discussed that how when there is wind within or the air flowing, when air flows, we are alive. When air stops, when we stop breathing, then we are dead. Then Ramaha Shastra Pratam Aham. Among all the wielders of the weapons, I am actually the who? Ramaha. Which Rama? Which Rama is mentioned here?
Parshurama.
Parashurama. Yes, exactly. Because here this said Shastra Pratam, which refers to Parashurama. Then Jashana Makaraschasmi, among all the fishes, he is the shark, and Shrotasam Asmi Janavi. Among all the flowing rivers, I am the Ganga. So this is what Krishna has explained in the previous verse. Now, in the next verse, that is verse number 32, again, some more of his opulences are explained. So, Dave, you can unmute yourself. Let us chant this verse. Very interesting verse. So, it is said here, let's chant. Sarganamadirantashcha
सर्गानामादिरन्तश्च
Madhyam Chaivaham Arjuna
मध्यं चैवाहमर्जुना
Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam
अध्यात्मविद्या विद्यानां
Vadaha Pravadatamaham.
वादः प्रवदतामहम्
Once again, Sarganamadirantashcha
सर्गानामादिरन्तश्च
Madhyam Chaivaham Arjuna
मध्यं चैवाहमर्जुना
Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam
अध्यात्मविद्या विद्यानां
Vadaha Pravadatamaham.
वादः प्रवदतामहम्.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
Of all creations, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle, O Arjuna. Of all sciences, I am the spiritual science of the self, and among logicians, I am the conclusive truth. Hare Krishna.
So very, very interesting verse. There are some more very important things that we need to discuss here. Okay. So, Sarganam, Sargaha means creation. Sarga and Visarga. Sarga means the primary creation and Visarga is the secondary creation. So, Sarga and Visarga. So, Sarga means creation. Among all the creation, Krishna is saying that I am creation. So, he's saying that of all the creations, I am the beginning, I am the end, and I am also the middle. So, whenever there is any creation, the beginning is Krishna, the middle is Krishna, and the end is also Krishna. A similar verse, that is verse number 20, in the same chapter, Krishna had said a very similar thing. There also he had said, Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutashayastitaha Aham Adishya Madhyam Cha Bhutanam Anta Evacha. So there also Krishna had told that I am the beginning, I am the middle, and the end of all beings. So in verse number 20, actually Krishna had told that I am the beginning, I am the end, and I am also the middle of what? Of all the living beings. But here in verse number 32, Krishna is saying that I am the beginning, I am the middle, and I am the end of all the creations. So it's very interesting. So this is the difference between that verse number 20 and verse number 32. So now Krishna is saying there is Sarga and Visarga, and I am, you take any creation, when you create a pot, then the beginning of that is Krishna. Because you just cannot escape Krishna. Krishna is all over. We cannot escape. He's the middle and he's the end. The creator, the maintainer, and the destructor is actually Krishna. Although there are representatives for the creation and destruction, that means the secondary representatives of creation and destruction, that is Brahma and Shiva and Mahavishnu, but the primary cause of the middle end and the beginning is actually Krishna. So this is one thing. And then Krishna is also going to say that, oh Arjuna, of all the sciences, I am the spiritual science. See, of all the sciences. Now, when we talk about science, there are many, many things to be discussed in science. There are innumerable, unlimited types of different knowledges included in the science today. You know, there's something recent which is coming up is called data science. You know, they also talk about data science. I think Dev is studying about data science, you know, because he's studying robotics. Now, there is data science. That's also science. But here Krishna is also talking about another science, another level of science. So it is science, but it is a different type of science. Let us understand when we talk about knowledge, Actually, the Vedas means knowledge, but knowledge in the Vedas is very scientific. Every knowledge that is being given in the Vedas is very scientific. Now, what is this Veda? Now, Veda consists of, there are Shat Angas, that means there are six Angas, the Vedangas. Vedangas means there are six different Angas of the Vedas. What are those six Vedangas? Number one is Shiksha. Shiksha means phonetics or pronunciation. See, there is no meaning to Veda without you understanding what is phonetics. These days, when children, before even they go to schools, they are sometimes sent to the phonetic classes so that they understand the pronunciation properly. Now, Vedas include all the mantras. If you really want to chant the mantras of the Vedas, only by chanting we get the knowledge. If you do not chant properly, if you do not pronounce it properly, then the effect is not there. Because mantra, the effect of the mantra is more powerful only when you chant or you use the proper phonetics. Otherwise, it's not. If your pronunciation is incorrect, then it is very difficult because mantras are like that. So, if you want to derive the complete essence of the mantra, you need to know the phonetics. You should know how to pronounce. It's very important. Now, Krishna, of course, in this Hare Krishna mantra is very powerful. Even sometimes, if you do not pronounce it properly, you still get the benefit. That's another thing. But if you really want to derive the complete benefit, and if for your own quick development in spiritual life, you need to learn the pronunciation, and that is called Shiksha. So shiksha is very important because it's proper accentuation, pronunciation. It's very important when it comes to reciting the Vedas. It is very, very important. Now, without this shiksha, without this understanding the phonetics, you cannot go really to the next levels of the Vedangas. It is just very difficult, extremely difficult to understand the different types of Vedic mantras and pronounce them properly. In Bhagavad Gita, sometimes we struggle to actually understand these verses properly. Why? Because we do not know how to pronounce. But if you know shiksha properly, the phonetics properly, it helps in actually developing our memory also. Because when you pronounce things properly and in a repeated fashion, it really helps us to stay back. I mean, that knowledge stays back in our memory for a long time. That is how in the previous Vedic times, people never used to forget what they had heard because they know how to pronounce properly. We do not know how to pronounce properly. So that is first. Number one is Siksha, that is phonetics, one of the Vedanga, that is very important Vedanga. Right? The next Anga of the Vedas is Kalpa. Kalpa means the rituals. There are different rituals which is actually called the arms, the Bhuja of the Veda Purusha. There is a personified Veda. Now, this personified Veda, personification of a Veda, has eyes, ears, is like a complete body. He's having a form. And one of the very important kalpa actually refers to the hands, the bhujas of the Veda Purusha. Now, it is very important that, just hold on, just quickly hold on. Sorry for that quick, I had to take that, it was an important part. So now, when we talk about the Vedas, I was discussing about the Vedas now. So there are the second Anga. The second Anga is actually the Kalpa. The Kalpa means it actually refers to the arms of the Veda Purusha. Now, when we perform any rituals, now again, the Vedas are again divided into the Brahmanas and the Aranyakas. We'll not go deep into this right now, but the idea is here that when we know the rituals to be performed properly, that means you have certain Vedic mantras, that is Vedic text, and the application of that is called Kalpa. So application of all the Vedic mantras in the form of rituals is called the Kalpa. And the third anga of the Vedas is called the Vyakarna. So out of the six angas, the third is Vyakarna, which refers to the grammar. Now, Krishna is going to, in fact, explain that in this particular verse. He has also said that, it's in the next verse, actually, in the next verse, 32 verse, 33rd verse. He's going to explain about this specific thing about Vyakarna. He's going to refer a little bit to this particular thing about Vyakarna. So, what is Vyakarna? Now, when we talk about the Veda Purusha, it is the mouth. Vyakarna is the mouth of the Veda Purusha. And here, this particular, the only representative of this particular Vedanga is the Ashtadhyayi of Panini. Panini is the only text that we can refer. Ashtadhyayi of Panini is the only thing that which we can refer today, because most of the traditional Vedic Vyakarna is lost. The technical terms of grammar is lost today. It is not available. So most of them today, they refer, all the Sanskrit scholars, they actually refer to Panini, because that is the most celebrated textbook for grammar today available for Sanskrit. Otherwise, the original Vedic school, which had Vyakarna, they are all gone today. And it's really difficult to get. Not difficult, it's just impossible to get that particular thing unless some demigods actually come and deliver it to us. It's otherwise not possible. So, due to its great merits of Panini, it is actually superseding all the predecessors' works, and that's why today Panini is very much referred for this particular thing. So, Vyakarna is the third anga, and which represents the mouth of the Vedanga. Okay, the Nirukta. Now, Nirukta means etymology, etymology of the Sanskrit text, the Vedic text. So, this particular Nirukta refers to the years of the Veda Purusha. Years, just like Vyakarana is the mouth, Nirukta is the years of Veda Purusha. So, what is this Nirukta? Nirukta means it's trying to understand the meaning, the usage of the particular text, understanding the uh, uh, origin. We try to understand the origin of the words, trying to understand the origin of the meanings. That is called Nirukta, which represents the years, right? And the next, that is the fifth anga of the Vedas, is the Chandas. Now, there are different chandas. Chandas means the meters, and these chandas refers to the feet of the Veda Purusha. Now, chandas, this word chandas comes from the word chada. Chada means to cover. So meter is actually called chandas because it covers the sense of the mantra. Its mantra, if you really want to understand properly, it is designed in such a way that it secures the proper reading and recitation of the Vedic text. Chandas means it secures, it protects the mantra in making it a proper meter. With giving it a proper meter, you can pronounce it nicely, very nicely. For example, now this particular chandas, which is that we are chanting the Bhagavad Gita mantras. Bhagavad Gita is called Anushtup Chandas. Bhagavad Gita, all the shlokas, of course, except for the chapter 11, all the shlokas in the Bhagavad Gita is called Anushtup Chandas. Anushtup Chandas means it has 8 syllables. Each line, Sarganam Adirantascha. For example, this is the first line that we chanted today, right? Let us understand that. For example, if you go to this particular verse, now you see there is Sar, Sa, Ra, Sarganam, Adhir, Antascha. Totally 8 are there. Ma, Dhya, Ma, Chai, Va, Ham, Arjuna. Arjuna is 3. Chaiva, Chaiva, Ham. 3. Chaivaham. Arjuna 3. Madhyam. So Madhyam 2. Chaivaham. Chaivaham 3 syllables. And Arjuna 3 syllables. 8 syllables. So this is called Anushtup Chandas. So there are 8 syllables. So like that, this is called a meter. Why meter is there? Because when there is a meter, the meter will protect the mantra. When you sing it in that particular meter, you can remember it very easily. That's why all the students in the Gurukul, when they are learning the Veda mantras, the students are taught the Vedas in a particular chandas. Very, very special. So only when we learn it in a particular with the meters, with the knowledge of the meters, you can remember the shlokas very nicely. And now each meter can be given different tunes. There are different tunes. Many times when we sing this shlokas, different shlokas, we sing it. We just don't chant, but we also sing. Because when you know the chandas, you can also sing it. Like there is Gopi Gita. Tava katamratam tapta jivanam kavi viridutam kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadatam Bhuvi Grinanti Ye Bhurida Janaha. So this is a very beautiful meter, but then Rajhamsa meter it is called, and then there is a particular tune given to that. So when you sing it in that tune, it gives that effect. You really start getting connected with that verse. It becomes very personalized verse for each one of us. That is why the chandas is very important. And now the literatures, basically the Vedic literature of all these different chandas, meters, there are many sections in that technical things will not go today because we will not be able to really do justice in understanding the concept of time because there will be very limited time. So time is just not enough to understand time. So we need to actually understand to that concept of time also. That's why we need to go a little faster today. Okay. And then the final anga of the Vedas is Jyotisha. So Jyotisha now it represents the eye of the Veda Purusha. Okay, the Chandas is the feet, and Jyotisha is actually the eye of the Veda Purusha. Now, this Jyotisha doesn't only teach astronomy, it's very limited to these days. Jyotisha means they only refer to the astrological predictions of people, but that is not what it is. Actually, Jyotisha is much beyond the astrological calculations of what we generally go to the astrologer and try to understand our past, present, and future. It is much beyond that because it explains about the cosmology, the different movements of the cosmology, and Jyotisha. When it comes to Jyotisha, it will also be discussing about the Panchanga. We all have heard about Panchanga that we will discuss in the next verse also. Panchanga is an elaborate thing. So Jyotisha includes all these different things. So there are 6 angas, and all these 6 angas are very, very important. Now, why I'm saying this, Veda is huge. There is Shiksha, there is Kalpa, there is Vyakarana, there is Nirukta, there is Chandas, there is Jyotisha. All these Vedangas put together may explain different aspects of the cosmology, of the creation. But Krishna is saying here that Adhyatma Vidya Vidyana, of all the sciences, I am the spiritual science. Now, this is very, very special. And when we say spiritual science, what does it mean? Does it not mean that, oh, all this Jyotisha, this Kalpa, and all these are not spiritual? No, it can be spiritual, but it is not all in all. These meters, the chandas, they are not all in all so called or connected to Krishna unless we actually connect it to Krishna. They are not actually spiritual. Many people may read the Vedas, but they may not understand the spiritual knowledge. Now, what is spiritual knowledge? Spiritual knowledge means to understand who am I, who is God, and what is my relationship with God. This is what defines spiritual knowledge. I am that spiritual knowledge. Krishna is specifically saying that of all the different sciences, I am the spiritual science, which means who am I, who is God, and what is my relationship with God. This is spiritual science. None of these Vedangas and the Vedic knowledge can be considered as spiritual knowledge. No, they cannot be considered unless you have Krishna in between. Unless they actually connect you to yourself in trying to understand who am I, it cannot be called as spiritual knowledge. Unless Chandas helps you to understand who you are, it cannot be called as the spiritual knowledge. Nirukta Vyakarana, unless it actually gives you the knowledge of Krishna, it cannot be called as spiritual knowledge. Only that knowledge which actually helps you to understand who you are and your connection with God, that is what is spiritual knowledge. And Krishna is saying, I am that knowledge. He's not saying knowledge also. Here, Prabhupada is specifically saying that it is a spiritual science. So that means to understand yourself is actually a science. To understand your relationship with God is actually a science. When we say science, it has a process. When we follow the process, we understand the science. We can get connected. When we say science, that means it is quantifiable. So, spiritual science, if you follow the process, you will get the result. And that is what Bhagavad Gita is all about. Bhagavad Gita is not simply a subjective knowledge, it's an objective knowledge because Krishna is giving the process. And when you follow the process, it gives you a specific result. Very clear. So that's why it is called science. Spiritual science means you apply and you get the result. So Krishna is also saying if you apply it properly as per my instructions, you will get a definite result, and that is that you will never come back to this material world again. That is the goal of Bhagavad Gita. So see, spiritual science means it's a knowledge about you, God, and your relationship. This is spiritual science. Krishna is saying this is the topmost knowledge. Krishna is saying that if you can understand me in bhakti, that is topmost knowledge. Because Krishna wants to reclaim all of us. He wants us back to home, back to God. He wants us to be with Him. So Krishna is saying, if you understand this knowledge, which helps you to come to me, then that is real science. Rest everything really doesn't matter to Krishna. Although He has given the Vedas and the Vedangas and all this Vedic knowledge for different types of people to enjoy differently, but Krishna is ultimately saying that that is not really important. That is really not Veda important. Vedascha sarver aham eva vedya. Krishna is saying, of all the Vedas, Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, you should understand me. That is spiritual science. Otherwise, it's all zero. Without knowing Krishna, it's all zero. So this is very, very important. Special words, Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam. And then he's saying that Vadaha Pravadatam Aham. What does that mean? Vadaha Pravadatam Aham. So it is saying here that there are different types of logicians, Vadaha. There is Vadi and Prativadi. And Krishna is saying, I am the conclusive truth. So this is again very interesting. So Krishna is saying that whenever there are debates, there are many times that debates happens, and not the debates like that we have in the news channels today, where the people simply debate and debate and debate, but there is no conclusive knowledge. Krishna is not talking about these kind of debates. So Prabhupada also explains in the purport very nicely that how there is something called as Jalpa. I was discussing this with earlier. We have one of the devotee, and we were discussing on the art of decision making. And in the art of decision making, there are these Vedic way of making decisions, taking decisions in life. So one of this, there are 16 steps in taking decisions, or 16 different ways in which you can take decisions, the Vedic way of taking decisions. So one of that is Jalpa. Jalpa means there is Vadi and Prativadi. That means there is two people who are talking back and forth on a particular subject matter, and each one of them is trying to prove his arguments to be right with lot of evidences. So that is called Jalpa. That Jalpa means now Dev is there, I am there, I am proposing my theory, Dev is proposing his theory, and then he's trying to give a lot of logic and arguments, and I am also trying to give my logic and arguments, and we both are trying to prove our theories to be true, the topmost. This is called Jalpa. Jalpa means we both are trying to prove our point to the best, to be the best. But there is something called as Vittanda. The next is Vittanda. Vittanda means where I am putting forward my theory, and Here, Dave is simply trying to prove me wrong. Here, what's happening is I am trying to prove Dave's theory wrong, and Dave is trying to prove my theory to be wrong without giving any logical evidences of our own theories. That is called Vittanda. That means, just for the sake of arguments, I'm just trying to pull your theory down, and you are trying to pull my theory down. So this is called as Vittanda. So what happens is there is no conclusion in this. So there is Jalpa, there is Vittanda. So many times most of these TV channels, the debates, the political debates that happen on the TV channel is mostly Vittanda, where there is no conclusive truth. They simply don't want to prove their own theories, but they simply want to pull down others' theories and ideas. So this is what happens. So that is called Jalpa and Vittanda. But Krishna is saying, I am the conclusive truth. When there is a debate, the conclusive truth is I am. So whenever there is a discussion that happens, and the outcome of that discussion, the final result of that discussion is actually called the conclusive truth, and that is Krishna. So see that whenever there is an argument going on or the debate going on, discussions going on within your own family circles or the friend circle, and you see that discussion happening, and then finally someone comes to a certain conclusion, you should immediately know, oh yes, this is the conclusive truth. They have come to this conclusion, and that is Krishna. When there is a fight or there is a debate and something like that, and one of them, okay, theek hai, you are saying right. The conclusive truth, there's a conclusion. When there is a meeting in the apartments or wherever there are some discussions happening about certain subject matter, and finally they come to a certain conclusion, yes, this conclusion is Krishna. So any conclusive truth, any conclusions you come of a particular discussion is actually representing Krishna. So this is what it is. So very, very interesting. So Hina Mataji, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse. That is verse number 33. Very interesting. Aksharanam akarosmi
अक्षराणामकारोऽस्मि
dvandas samasikasya cha
द्वन्द्वः स्वामासिकस्य च
aham evakshaya kalo
अहम् एवाक्षयः कालो
धाताहम विश्वतो मुखः.
धाताहं विश्वतो मुखः.
Let's do that once again. Aksharanam akarosmi
अक्षराणामकारोऽस्मि
द्वन्द्वसामासिकस्य च
द्वन्द्वसामासिकस्य च
अहमेवाक्षयः कालो
अहम् एवाक्षयः कालो
धाताहं विश्वतो मुखः.
धाताहं विश्वतो मुखः.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
Of letters, I am the letter A, and among compound words, I am the dual compound. I am also inexhaustible time, and of creators, I am Brahma. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. You see? So, again, he's coming back to this Vyakharana, one of the Vedangas now. Just like I told you, Krishna is very nicely saying here, of the letters, I am Akara. So, when we have this in schools, we have studied A, E, E, U, U, A, I, O, Aha. And then there is Ka Varga, there is Pa Varga, there is Cha Varga, there is Ta Varga, right? We have this Ka, Gha, Ga, Na, Cha, Jha, Ja, Na, Ta, Dha, Da, Na. Now, very interestingly, if you say Ka, Kha, Gha, Ga, Na, or if you say simply Ka, if you repeat or you stretch this word, Ka, it begins with Ka, but ends with what? When you say it ends with Say Pa. Pa. It begins with Pa, but it's ending with Similarly, you will take Na. Na. You see? It begins with Na, but ends with So Krishna is saying, of all the words, I am there. In every word, in every syllable, I am there. So that's why he's saying that I am the letter A, I am the first letter. And that first letter actually is in every single syllable of Sanskrit word. Very interesting this is. So total 56 syllables are there. And of all these 56 syllables in Sanskrit, Krishna is saying, I am the Akara. From aksha, end starts with a, ends with ksha, akshara. Akshara means what? That which ends starts with a, ends with sha. So that is akshara. Of all the aksharas of the syllables, I am the akara. And among the compound words of the dual compounds, so there are sandhis. Sometimes it's called in Kannada also. When we were studying in schools, you must have said agama sandhi. There are different sandhis when there are compound words like Krishna Prabhupada gives in the purport Rama Krishna. The compound words, what happens in sandhis? Sometimes one word is having heavier weight, another word is having lower weight. So that is not what Krishna is saying here. A compound, a dual compound is something which has uh, equal weight. The both words are having equal weights. For example, Rama and Krishna. Rama and Krishna is a best example of dual compound. Rama is also important, Krishna is also important. Rama Krishna is one word, so dual compound. Ahoratra. Aho means day, Ratra means night. Ahoratra is again having the same meaning or equal meaning. Aho means day, which we are going to discuss in the later part. So it's a compound, it's a dual compound. So among all these things, among the compound and the dual compound, Krishna is saying, which has equal weights. And then this is a very important thing. Again, he's saying that I am also inexhaustible time. Inexhaustible time. Everything will get exhausted in the due course of time. But time itself is never going to be exhausted. Time is always going to be there. As long as the creation is there, there is time. As long as there is matter, there is time. Matter means it should be under the effect of time. All the Panchabhutas, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, all of these material elements are affected by time. Only the soul is unaffected by time. Sat, Sat, that's why it's called Sat, because it is unaffected by time. But the matter, any matter, is actually under the influence of time. Moment we talk about matter, it is influenced by time. And we will discuss more about time in the later section. There are so many things. I'm just leaving it here right now. And of all the creators, I am Brahma. See, many people think that, okay, Brahma is the creator of this universe. But Krishna is saying, I am the creator of the Brahma. And I am that Brahma also. I am the creator of Brahma for sure. But that Brahma also who is there, Krishna is saying, I am there. So even the primary creation, secondary creation, in one sense, is actually taken care by Krishna himself. So I am the creators, I am the Brahma. Brahma, we know that he is creator. It's very famous for creation. Brahma is very famous for creation. But nobody knows who created Brahma. Very few knows that, that Krishna is the creator of Brahma. So it is a very nice thing. So Akshara. So whenever you are reading any book, you are reading any words, you should remember Krishna when you're reading any book. And sometimes when we teach our children also grammar, Vyakarana, and we come across so many different compositions and the grammatical things. So whenever we are going through any grammar things, we have to know that Krishna is present here. This grammar and Vyakarana is too much for me now. Because, okay, in school, somehow we finished, but now Vyakarana, oh my God, it is so difficult. I mean, Sanskrit, even more difficult. So you cannot even think of it. So that's why it is very simple. Prabhupada has made it very simple. Just chant Hare Krishna, pronounce it nicely, that's enough. And chant loudly and clearly, audibly, and you can hear nicely, that itself is enough. Okay? And then, compounds and all these things, it's too much for us to go through because there are it's quite difficult. After a certain age, you really cannot digest certain things. When in young age, when children in school, when we go, the teacher is teaching Vyakarana, not just in one language, in multiple languages, and you are having the capacity to learn. But now it becomes very difficult. It's very taxing for the brain to understand these things. But just for knowledge, we should know that Krishna is present everywhere. Okay, so Dev, you can unmute yourself and let's chant again the next verse. 34th verse. This is also very important verse. Mrityuhu sarvaharashchaham
Mrityuhu sarvaharashchaham
udbhavascha bhavishyatam
udbhavascha bhavishyatam
कीर्तिः श्रीर्वाक्च नारीणाम्
कीर्तिः श्रीर्वाक् च नारीणाम्
स्मृतिर्मेधा धृतिक्षमा
स्मृतिर्मेधा धृतिः क्षमा
मृत्युः सर्वहरश्चाहम्
मृत्युः सर्वहरश्चाहम्
उद्भवश्च भविष्यताम्
उद्भवश्च भविष्यताम्
कीर्तिः श्रीर्वाक्च नारीणाम्
कीर्तिः श्रीर्वाक् च नारीणाम्
स्मृतिर्मेधा धृतिक्षमा.
स्मृतिर्मेधा धृतिः क्षमा
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
I am all devouring death, and I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so very interesting. This is something very special and very important. Very, very important. Mrityu sarvaharaschaham. Now, Mrityu is death. Why Krishna is saying this? Because previously also he said, I am the creation, I am the beginning, I am the middle, and I am the end. So here, for life also, Krishna is the beginning, he is the middle, and he is the end. So Mrityu Sarvaharaschaham. Sarvaharaschaham. Why it is called Sarvaharas? Because death takes away everything that you have. Everything that you possess is taken away by death. That's why it is called Sarvaharaschaham, all devouring death. And that, when you're alive and a person is on the deathbed, that last stroke, when you leave this body, the last stroke, when you actually stop breathing, the last stroke, when you actually disconnect yourself from this material existence, that is Krishna. That last final stroke of life is Krishna. Death is unavoidable. Moment we have this material body, death is there. Krishna is saying that death, last stroke is me. Very powerful. And he's next immediately saying that I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. That means the last stroke to finish this body is Krishna. And Krishna is also, I am the generating principle of it that is to be. That means my next body, if at all it has to come, then that also is generated by Krishna. So that generation and this destruction is me. So we have seen that how Krishna is the starting, the middle, and end of the creations. Here also, in our own life, Krishna is the beginning, Krishna is the end. Without Krishna, our existence is just not possible. Just not possible. And then further, Krishna is also saying that among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. So now, these qualities are considered to be feminine. Prabhupada says that these are feminine qualities, and fame means it is, becoming very famous. Becoming famous, what kind of famous? When you murder someone, you can also become very famous. Is that what Krishna is saying? Is that the fame that Krishna is talking about here? Recently, somebody murdered in Mumbai, that Mira Road, some murder happened, right? And then he became famous. That person became so famous. For such a ghastly murder, he became famous all over India and probably across the world also. He became so famous. So is that what Krishna is saying? I'm the fame? No, he's not talking about that fame. He's talking about the fame which is connected with Krishna. For the devotees, when they become devotees of the Lord, that fame is Krishna. Otherwise, famous to anybody can become. There are so many rich people. They are not devotees. They become famous. That is not what Krishna is saying. Fortune. Now, fortune, many people, we see politicians and many other great rich people. That's why they have a lot of fortune. They have a lot of Sri means wealth. A lot of people, wrong people, they still have wealth, lots of wealth. But that is not what Krishna is saying. Krishna is saying, I am that Sri, that wealth, where does Lakshmi reside? Where there is Krishna, wherever there is Narayana. So wherever there is Lakshmi, there is, that means that is the representation of Krishna. That wealth is representation of Krishna. Fine speech. Fine speech, there are so many people who would like to speak, and that's why they go to this Toastmasters, they join the Toastmasters club, and why they can, so that they can become good speakers. They join some English speaking course and that course and whatnot, and they want to get fine speech. But fine speech will come when you actually read the Vedas, when you read the scriptures, you will become a fine speaker. When Hanumanji, when he first met Lord Rama in Kishkinda, actually Sugriva was very scared. He sends Hanumanji, please go and find out who is this. Maybe he's a person sent by Vali. And Hanumanji goes to Ram and Lakshman. And then Hanumanji so beautifully speaks to Lord Rama, and just the way he was asking questions about trying to understand about Rama and all these things, the way Hanumanji spoke, Lord Rama says to Lakshman that this is a person who has actually learned all the Vedas. Just by his speech, Lord Rama says that here, this Hanumanji has learned all the Vedas. That is the effect of reading the Vedas and the scriptures. You will become a fine speaker when you actually learn the Vedas. So, fine speech. Then, memory. Memory means smriti. That smriti has to be given. Many times we read, but when we want to actually repeat, for example, some shlokas, I was trying to remember some chandas and all those things. I'm just not able to remember at that point of time. I may remember later, but at that point, I could not remember. The smriti has to be given by Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I have to give you that. That is when I get the memory. Otherwise, it's not possible. It might be there, but at that time, if you really want to retrieve that from certain event from your memory, that has to be enabled by Krishna. Otherwise, not possible. Intelligence, Medha Shakti. Medha Shakti is learning how to discriminate between what is right and wrong, what is spiritual and what is matter. That is intelligence, Medha Shakti. And then there is steadfastness. That means you're quite active in doing everything. You're not lazy person. And one of the very important qualities for devotees are never lazy. They are always doing something and always busy doing some spiritual activity. And then Shama. You may have all of these different things, but then Shama is patience. Patience in getting the results. These days, people are having very, very less patience. No patience at all because of instant gratification that is available today in so many different ways, whether it is shopping, whether it is eating, whether it is whatever, it is quite instant. So, because of this instant culture, people are losing patience. So, Prabhupada Krishna is saying here, I'm Kshama, I'm patience. So, these are few things that we have discussed in verse number 32, 33, and 34. But there is another very important discussion that I just wanted to briefly touch upon, although there are so many things. We have to discuss this because something very important. Krishna has spoken about time. In the last 5, 6 verses, he has mentioned about time. Now, that's why we need to discuss a little bit of time. And Hina Mataji also had asked about time last session. So, let us go into that discussion of what is Vedic time, what is this time all about, right? So, before we get into that, I just want to give you a little idea about this time which we all are trying to experience or we experience also on a day-to-day basis. What is this all about? How do we understand this time? When we used to watch this Mahabharata that used to come, the B.R. Chopra Mahabharata earlier, it used to start May Samay Hu, and there used to be on wheel. Have you seen that? Mahabharata, May Samay Hu, and then there
Yes,
used to be that
Prabhuji.
wheel.
मैं समय हूँ.
Isn't it? So in that,
कालचक्र देवकी show.
correct. So there is to be that circle, that wheel, and that is to give that speech, May Samay Hu, and that's Kala Chakra. The Kala Chakra. Kala Chakra means, what is that? Kala means time, Chakra means that which is having a cyclical movement. So anything that is having a cyclical movement is Kala Chakra. How do we actually understand this? There are three important factors to see or understand the effect of time. Now we have this Earth, which rotates. Earth rotates on its axis. So that is called the rotation, and we have the 24 hours, day and night. Okay. So that is rotation. That defines a certain time. Then there is moon that is actually revolving around the earth. That is another unit of measuring the time. And then earth itself is actually moving around the planet, sun planet. That is the revolution around the sun. That is another, that is years. Moon, the waning and the waxing moon gives us the duration of month, and then we have the duration of year when the earth revolves. So basically, you see, everything is moving in a cyclical way, and because in this, when it is repetitive and these oscillations which are happening regularly, the time is cyclical in moment. So what happens is, generally, there is a lot of difference between um, the time understanding that the modern philosophers or the modern scientists have. They generally consider time to be linear, but time is not linear. According to the Vedic understanding, it is cyclical. It is coming again and again and again. That is what Jyotisha Shastra explains. And Jyotisha Shastra is quite deep. Now, like I told you earlier, that Jyotisha, it is constrained only to the predictions of your past, present, and future. It's not like that. There is a huge knowledge available in Jyotisha Shastra. Just for example, when we talk about yoga, now when we talk about yoga, these days yoga is confined only to asanas and pranayama. But that is not, Ashtanga yoga has so many different angas, right? So that way, Jyotisha Shastra is quite big, and it gives a lot of discussion, lot of understanding about time. Now, when we understand the cosmic movements of Earth, Moon, and Sun, these define our time scales. Now, in Vedic understanding, a day and night is called Ahoratra. Like I told you earlier, Aho means day, Ratra means night, right? Ahoratra. Now, we have to understand that in one day, there are 8 praharas. That means it is equals to 30 muhurats. Now, a day is actually divided into eight prahars. Morning, there are different prahars. If you see some of the series, this serials on Mahabharata, हम इस प्रहर पे मिलेंगे, हम दोपहर के this सुबह के the second प्रहर में मिलेंगे, third प्रहर में मिलेंगे. When we say like that, first prahar, third prahar, that defines the time. Okay, earlier our scales have changed now. We follow the Gregorian calendar, and based on that we have the time systems. We need a watch. We need a device to know the time now. Earlier it was not like that. Based on the sun movement, they used to define the time. So 8 prahars, and 8 prahars means there are 30 muhurats. So in a day there are 30 muhurats. Now, how will you find the time? We find the time through watch. Now, watch is also running based on this movements of the planets. If suppose the earth, the moon, and the sun, they don't move, they don't rotate, there is no movement, then our perception of time is gone for a toss. Completely gone. The Kala Chakra means it has to be rotating. The sun, earth, moon, everything has to be rotating. That is when we can understand time. Otherwise, we cannot perceive time. And that's why in our Shastras, there is something called as Panchanga. Panchanga means, it's again a part of Jyotisha Shastra. So Panchanga has 5 things. What are those 5 things? First is Titi. First is Titi. Titi means date. I want to celebrate my birthday on a specific Titi. Now Krishna's Janmashtami. Krishna Janmashtami is on that Titi, on that date, we celebrate Krishna Janmashtami. That's a specific Titi. Titi means date, which denotes the phases of moon. Titi means it denotes the phases of moon. And then There is, after Tithi, there is next Anga of the Panchanga, that is Vara. Vara means day. It's not a date, it is a day. Denotes the sunrise and sunset. Vara means it denotes the sun, based on the sunrise and sunset, there is Vara, that is week. Then there is Nakshatra. The third aspect of Panchanga is Nakshatra, which means the measure of the position of the sun and moon as seen in the 27 constellations. There are 27 constellations, and based on these movements, the position of the sun and the moon, there is Nakshatra. Then there is yoga. There's something called as yoga. If you see the Panchanga, many people have heard about Panchanga, but they really don't go deep into this. It's a very scientific thing. So yoga is a relationship between nakshatra and yoga. Yoga means it's a relationship between yoga and nakshatra. And then there is karana. Karana means at what activity, what time you are supposed to do certain things. For example, when we talk about Brahma Muhurta, right? Every day we talk about Brahma Muhurta. What is Brahma Muhurta? It's a time when the spiritual activities, your ambience of the nature is very different. So that is a very conducive for spiritual knowledge. And especially in the music field, based on the different times, there are different ragas sung. Because the ambience is different, based on the ambience, there are different ragas. And the musicians they know. So morning, if you sing a song which is actually meant for the night, it will spoil your mood. Morning time you have to sing in that same raga as which is mentioned in the Vedas, as which what is defined. If you sing some other raga, it will be very difficult. You cannot really relish. So most of these calendars that we see today, some traditions in the world, they follow the solar movement. Islamic calendar, they follow the movement of the moon. They have that. But whereas our Sanatan Panchanga that we have, it is lunisolar. We consider the movement of the sun, we consider the movement of the moon also. So that's why there is Krishna Paksha, there is Shukla Paksha, and there is a very, very important thing that we should know, the difference between this sun movement and the moon movement. See, people who follow the solar movement and people who follow the lunar movement, the number of days and the years differ. I'll tell you, 62 solar months is equal to 64 lunar months. There is a difference of 11 days between the solar and the lunar years. 365 days is the solar years. That is what we refer to on a day-to-day basis now, 365 days, right? But those who consider the lunar years, it is only 354 days. There are about a difference of 11 days. But whereas the Vedic Panchanga, it's not like that. The Vedic Panchanga, every 2.5 years, that is every 32 months or 33 months, we have Adhik Masa, which is going to come this year. We adjust that one additional month through this particular Adhik Masa. This is very special. Very, very special. This is not known to the other traditions in the world. That's why the Sanatan way, the Panchanga, is very accurate, which can actually predict exactly when is the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse and all those things, right? But more than that, I really wanted to give you an understanding of the different time units that is there, which is mentioned in the scriptures. So, like here now, let us go through this very carefully. The Vedic time has these different units. The smallest unit, now you may actually feel a little overwhelmed while discussing this because you may feel that I'm back to school and college attending some science class, but that is how it is. This is very important to know. This is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto, the different time scales and the units. And in the Vedic time units, the smallest unit is called Paramanu. Paramanu means from the modern terms, it's called the primordial atomic structure. The primordial atom is called Paramanu. So that actually is 26 microseconds or something like that. You just see it is equivalent to about 2 by 151,875 second of a second. So it is so small, Paramanu, that time calculation, because there are movements happening even in the atomic thing. There are things moving, like electrons are moving, right? So when electrons are moving in an atom, that electronic movement, atomic movement, is actually considered, and it is called paramanu. And then there is anu. Anu means two paramanus make one anu. And then the third unit is called trasarenu. Trasarenu, which is actually six anus. You can see here this particular thing. So there is six anus make one trasarenu. After that one trasarenu, there is truti. There is something called as truti. These are all less than a second. Huh? These are all less than a second calculations. The truti is nothing but three trasarenus. Three trasarenus make one truti. Then there is next unit called Veda. 100 trutis make one Veda. After Veda, there is Lava. Lava means you all have heard this very nice verse, you know. Lava matra sadhu sanga sarva siddhi hoye. You know, sadhu sanga sarva shastra kahe. Lava matra sadhu sanga sarva siddhi hoye. So lava is this time unit. Even for a lava, if you are associating with a pure devotee, your life will change. What is that lava? The calculation is here now. 1 by 14th of a second is called lava. So what are three Vedas make one lava? Then there is Nimisha. Nimisha means the blink of an eye. It's called Nimisha. Another name of Krishna, Narayana, is also Nimisha. In the Vishnu Sahasranama, these words are coming. Animisha, Nimisha. Krishna is called Nimisha, Animisha, both. These are the words of Krishna. But Nimisha is also the unit of time. That is three lavas. So three lavas actually make one Nimisha. Nimisha means blink of an eye. Then there is Shana. We in normal day-to-day discussions, our talks with एक क्षण रुक सकते हैं आप एक क्षण रुक जाइए ना we say no. Hey, one shana in Kannada they say one shana irappa. One shana they say. You wait for a shana. You know, एक क्षण रुक जाइए. Shan means this is exactly what. The shan means it is 1.28 seconds. That is 3 nimishas. That is shana. Then there is one kashta. See, all these units have gone today. They have no clue. Modern science has no clue about these things. So one kashta, kashtas. Kashtas means 6 seconds. So that is 5 shanas. Then there is one lagu. One lagu means 96 seconds. Then there is nadika. So one nadika is 1440 seconds. Then one muhurta, and that is 48 minutes. All put together, it is 48 minutes. I told this in previous session also. One muhurta is equal to 48 minutes. So this is the time units. Now this is not the end of it. So you can understand, as small as Paramanu, we have this time unit mentioned in the scriptures, and then it goes to the next level, which is very, very special, goes to the next level of understanding, that is one prahara. Now I just told you earlier, in a day there are how many praharas there? How many prahars are there in a day? 8 prahars are there in a day, right? So out of those 8 prahars means there's all put together 3 hours. 8 into 3 is 24 hours, isn't it? So one prahar is equal to 3 hours. You're getting the point? Then there is one divas and one ratri. That is what I called as ahoratri. Ahoratra means 24 hours, all put together. They were able to understand?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, good. So now the next ahoratra, the point next is one paksha, that is 15 days. One paksha, that is 360 hours. 15 complete days called one paksha. There is Shukla paksha and there is Krishna paksha. In a month, there are 2 pakshas. One masa is 2 pakshas, 1 month. Then there is one ritu, that is 2 masas is called one ritu. And there is 3 ritu, which is called one ayana. All these details are there with proper calculations. You can make a note of this. I can also share this with you later. I had saved this for a long time. It was
Yes,
somewhere far.
Prabhuji, please share it with I. So this
Yes.
image we'll share it. Yeah.
It was in my drive, and last time when you spoke about it, I just recollected it, and immediately, I referred this and I took some snapshots from there. So very, very important these things are. So let me also quickly show you the full screen now. Okay, so now if you see, now one Hindu calendar, that is one Hindu year, is actually equal to totally put together 8,640 hours. One Hindu year. Two Ayana. Ayana means what? Uttarayana, and there is Dakshinayana. That is 6 months. You got the point? There is
Yes,
Uttarayana
sir.
and Dakshinayana. So these are two Ayanas. So two Ayanas make 1 year.
Yes, sir. And Prabhuji, we have six ritus, na?
So if you
In a
have,
year.
correct, six ritus are there. So you got three, one Ayana is three ritus. So two Ayanas make six ritus.
Correct.
And then this is one solar year now, 365 days, 0.258755, all this is there. Now, one Pitra day, that means a little above us, there are Pitra Devatas. So, this
Yes.
is another very important. There is Pitra. So, Pitra, one Pitra day, 1 day of a Pitra is 30 days. That means 1 month. Our
Ah.
1 month is 1 day of the Pitra.
Oh. Prabhuji, when you say Pitra Day, is that Bhuvarlok or is it above that?
It is
Pitra.
above Bhuvarlok. That I'll just confirm to you.
Okay.
Right now, I don't get it right now. It's not
Okay.
top of my mind. But it is definitely above the earthly planet.
Okay.
Now, very interestingly, there are, after the ancestors pass away, especially the first year, many Brahmanas they follow this.
Mm.
When somebody passes away in the family members, some Brahminical families, they offer the Pindadana every month. Why? Because
Yes.
every day they're getting for a year. And later on, after the first year is over, then once in a year they do that. But the
Correct.
first year, actually, every 30 days, they actually do Pindadana. So that is one Pitra day. And now one Pitra month is exactly into 900 days. That is, goes on like that, goes on like that. So one life of a Pitra, one Pitra Devata is almost
3 years.
3,000 years.
Oh,
It is 3,000 years
life
in
of.
human calculations. And next, it doesn't, above the Pitra Devatas, there are Devalokas. Now the demigods are there. So that means they are, 360 days of one deva. One deva day, 1 day of a deva is 360 days. That is one Hindu calendar. There is again some more discussions here. I'm not going to go deep. There's Samvatsara, there's Vatsara. There are 5 types of years. In year calculation, also there are 5 types, which we'll stick on to only 360 days now. So 360 days in a human calculation is actually 1 day of Deva. 1 month here is 1 day of Pitra. 1 year, human year, is actually 1 day of the Devatas. So similarly, 1 month of the Devas is 10,800 days in human calculation, and completely a life of a demigod is all put together 36,000 years. So 36,000 years makes a life of a deva. They live for 100 years, like that. So 100 deva years is nothing but 36,000 years here on this planet. So if 36,000 years pass by, then one devata will die. It's like that. Okay.
Okay,
And
Prabhuji.
then
Yes.
let's understand the next part also. So now, 1 year of the demigods, all put together, there is something called as 360 years. 360. 1 year is equal to 360 years of human calculations. 360 years of human calculation is 1 year of the Devatas. So, Satyuga, how these years are calculated for the Devatas? It is this way. They don't go by our time and watch. They go through, they have their own time. Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. They calculate the time this way. So Satyuga is about like it's mentioned there, it is 17 lakh 20,000, 28,000 years. Treta Yuga is 12 lakhs 96,000 years. And Dwapar Yuga is 8 lakh 64,000 years. Kali Yuga is 4 lakh 32,000 years. All put together is 43 lakh 20,000 years. So this one chakra is called one Mahayuga. So all put together is one Mahayuga. And then this Mahayugas, I mean such 71 Mahayugas makes one Manvantara. That is 71 Mahayugas makes one Manvantara. That is the lifespan of one Manu. All this discuss, you can go into the details later, but I'm just giving you the overview, the mota things I'm discussing here now. Okay. Then one Kalpa is there. What is one Kalpa? 14 Manus when they come and go. That means 71 into 14. That makes one Kalpa, and one Kalpa is actually 1 day of Brahma. That is 12 hours of Brahma actually. Only 12 hours of Brahma is actually one Kalpa. So there's so much of discussion going on here. See, 1 day of Brahma all put together, that is means 12 hours of Brahma is as given there. I can't even read that number. It's quite huge. Some trillions of years. Let us understand the next little bit here. Now, let us understand this is Brahma. From Brahma, what is Brahma's lifespan? 1 second of Brahma, 1 second of Brahma is 1 lakh years on this planet makes 1 second of Brahma. Now you can imagine, huh? This is very special here. That means 1 lakh years when it goes on here, it is just 1 second of Brahma. I'm giving you the, the breakup of Brahma's life here. 1 minute of Brahma is almost 60 lakh years. 1 minute, 60 lakh years. So like that, 1 hour and 1 month, 1 year of Brahma, one prarabdha is 50 years of Brahma. Now, we all recently heard this Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, Rath Yatra, right? We have this beautiful form of Jagannatha. Before Jagannatha was worshipped in the form that he is today, he was actually worshipped as Neelachala. Jagannatha was worshipped as Neelachala. Neelachala became Neelamadhava. Neelamadhava became Jagannatha when Brahma's 50 years finished, and Brahma finished his 50 years, and when he entered into the 51st year, Neelamadhava actually became Jagannatha. So now, currently, this is what is going on. Now, this is Brahma's 51st year. He is 50 years old. This is his 51st year, and it is his first month, that is January month for him. And Kalpa is the day, it's the first day of January. And then he is in the daytime, and is the 7th Manu, Vaivasvata Manu. And Vaivasvata Manu, which cycle? That is 28 cycle. In Vaivasvata, total Manvantara is 71 cycles. In that 71 cycle, already 28 cycles, 27 cycles are gone, 28 cycles are there. It's a daytime for Brahma right now. Okay? And Yuga is Kali Yuga, and totally the Kali Yuga, if you see, already 3,102 years BC. BC means 3,000, this is 2023 now. You add 2023 to plus 3,102. This is when Kali Yuga actually started.
Yes.
So it's
So that
a
is
bit
why
of
it
time.
will say more than 5,000 years.
5,000
Prabhuji.
years. You're getting some perceptions now. Very good. Why we say 5,000 years? 5,000 years?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
this is how it is.
This is humongous calculation.
So from Paramanu, we are going all the way till Brahma's lifetime. And what is that Brahma's lifetime? That is massive. This is a little pictorial explanation. I know, I don't know if you are able to see this, but in this, I'm going to share this with all of you. You can actually refer to these diagrams. It is explaining about all the details about what is Satya Yuga, Trita Yugas, and actually you can go in detail later, but between Satyuga and Treta Yuga, there is Sandhikala. That means it's called Yuga Sandhya. Like, from up, morning to daytime. From night to morning, when you are going, there is Sandhya Kala. There are three Sandhyas. Afternoon to evening, there is another Sandhya. Night to daytime, again, there is one Sandhya. So there are three Sandhyas. So Sandhya is a Sandhi Kala. So similarly, from one Satyuga to Treta Yuga, it's not like, oh, Satyuga is now dot finished and then immediately there is Treta Yuga. No, there is transition. The transition between Satyuga and Treta Yuga is called Sandhya, Yuga Sandhyas. Then there is similar Yuga Sandhyas in all the Sandhyas. So that calculation also has to be taken into consideration. All those things are given in the chart. You can actually refer to the chart. I'll share that in the WhatsApp group.
Prabhuji, that last chart is there in Bhagavatam.
It's not in the Bhagavatam, but the details are explained in the Bhagavatam,
Okay.
fifth canto. The time calculations, the details are given in the fifth canto. So it's really quite humongous, like you said. It is massive. From a Paramanu to that life of a Brahma is so huge, and that life of Brahma, which is 311 trillion years, the whole lifespan of a Brahma, 311 trillion years, is just one breath of Mahavishnu. Just one breath of Mahavishnu. How
It's
powerful the Lord is.
unimaginable, Prabhuji, for us. It's unimaginable.
And
Unimaginable.
even Brahma is feeling that his life is all short. You know, so you can see Brahma is living for 100 years of his time calculation, and even he feels that, oh, 100 years are nothing, it's like that for him. So that's why that relativity of time.
Yes.
When people, modern scientists and people talk about time, they cannot understand these different things. It's so huge because their understanding is so limited of the space and time. When we talk about space and time, we talk about the whole universe. The Vedas are talking about the lifespan of a universe is what? Lifespan of Brahma. Lifespan of Brahma is lifespan of the universe because he's Brahma and there's Brahmanda. So Brahmanda will finish when Brahma is over.
Yes. Prabhuji,
That's
I wanted to know something that when we say there is positive and negative forces which are both created by God, and
Mhm.
as the yugas progress from Satyuga to Kali Yuga, the positive reduces and the negative increases. So
Yes.
the thing is this how it is designed by God, so it will always be moving in that direction, or there is part of this will of the human beings on this earth that can change the course of action, or it is always one way only or this way only?
So now what happens is, see Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali Yuga. Now what happens is it is mentioned. See, it all depends on the consciousness of it. This Satya, Treta, Dwapara cycle will continue. There is no change. We cannot change. This is fixed because that is how Brahma's lifespan is calculated. So
Okay.
Satya, Treta, Dwapara, the number of years is all fixed. We cannot change it.
Okay.
But it is the decision of an individual soul, his karma, which makes him be a part of Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, or Kali Yuga in a human form. He will definitely be in all these yugas, but in what form he will be? In human form, that is dependent on his karma. In Satyuga, by default, everyone is a dharmishta. They are spiritual in Satyuga. In Treta Yuga, they are not spiritual, but they are inclined towards spirituality. In Treta Yuga, the people are inclined towards spirituality. In Dwapar Yuga, it is not like that. In Dwapar Yuga, they put efforts. They are not inclined naturally, but they put efforts to become spiritual in Dwapar Yuga. And the Kali Yuga, what to speak now, you already know what's happening. They are not inclined, they are not putting efforts, and they are not spiritual. It's a very precarious condition in Kali Yuga.
Prabhuji, two more questions. Sorry. So
Yes,
this
go
is
ahead.
the Sandhi Kal of Kali Yuga and Satyuga right now.
No,
Sorry.
Sandhikal is over. Sandhikal is over.
Okay. Okay.
Sandhikal is over. Actually, Sandhikal, it is already the Kali Yuga has begun 5,000 years ago.
Okay.
So the Sandhikal is over now.
And Prabhuji, second question I wanted to know is that now how in Kali Yuga we as a world we fight about this god, that god, my god, your god. How so in earlier yugas it was very clear about the god. Because I have seen earlier how we have seen in serials and all that even the daityas used to know that who was god. So they
Yes.
used to follow only that one god. So is it only in Kali Yuga that we have come up with all these new ideas about god?
No, what happens is there were gods even in the Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and they knew the position, the role, and responsibility of each gods.
Okay.
Exactly. So they knew that okay, a chief minister is the chief minister, and the Indra means he knows, and everyone knows that what is his post and what are his roles and responsibilities. But now what has happened is because people have some specific desires and very instant desires and something which is very material, they go only to a specific god and they stick that to that particular god and they think that he is the supreme of all. So that knowledge has gone that these are only the devatas, but they are not the supreme lord. That understanding is gone.
Okay. No, the why I was asking is that in the previous, whenever we see any of these old serials that we have, Vishnu
Yes.
Puran or any of these serials, so in which it is very clear, even if they are the demoniac forces, they were very clear that there was Lord Vishnu. So there was, it was all Sanatan. That's what I'm asking. It
Yes.
was
Yes.
even there were negative forces. They were still knowing that who is the god, and there was no confusion about that.
Yes, actually, they were all aware that
Yeah,
there is
this.
some personality like this, like Vishnu, Mahavishnu, and
Yeah.
Daityas only thought that he's our enemy because he's only
Yes.
because see they had problem with the Devatas,
Correct.
the Daityas. There is always a fight between the Daityas and the Devatas because the Devatas having the opulence and although these Daityas also it's not like they don't have opulence, they have opulence, but the nature of a Daitya is what I want to capture others wealth
Yes.
and everything. That is the nature. They don't let them devatas enjoy alone. Oh, this universe is there, so I should enjoy everything. That's the Daitya nature. That's Asuric nature. So that's why they want to fight with the Asuras. But when this Asuric nature is there, when Daityas are being given their quota of enjoyment, Devatas are given their quota of enjoyment, they should just follow that and be happy in that. But the Daityas will not do that. They will come and trouble the Devatas. So who will interfere then? Then Vishnu will interfere.
Equivalent.
Because Vishnu comes and interferes and he tries to protect the Devatas, I mean the Daityas, they actually feel that he is also our enemy because he is protecting. वो बोलते हैं ना कि दुश्मन का दुश्मन I mean not
दुश्मन का दोस्त is
दोस्त
दुश्मन.
मेरा मेरा दुश्मन ऐसा है. So
Prabhuji,
it's like
and yeah, but the thing is, in the, when the Daityas used to pray, they used to also do a lot of prayers, and they used to also have a guru, Shukracharya.
correct. So, but they want to worship Brahma and Shukracharya. Brahma because they know that he is the creator. They don't know that Brahma is created by Vishnu. They don't want to accept that Vishnu is the supreme Lord. The Daitya Asuric nature is that they don't want to accept Vishnu as the. They want to consider that he is one among them, and maybe
Okay.
he's powerful. But they go to Brahma because Brahma will easily give them the boons. That's why they used to go to Brahma. And Shukracharya, now Shukracharya is not the Daitya. Please understand.
No, he is not Daitya. He,
He's,
but he was
he's
the
not
guru.
Daitya, but he's the guru of all the Daityas.
Yes, yes, yes.
There is Devata, now Brahaspati is there. Brahaspati is there, he's the guru of all the Devatas.
Correct, correct,
So Shukracharya is not the Daitya, but he is actually the guru. And he tries to protect all the Daityas, Shukracharya.
correct.
That's why we have this. Now, Shukracharya is an amazing personality. That's why we have Shukravara.
Yes,
Shukravara is actually
yes,
giving credit to Shukra.
yes, yes.
Actually, Shukra is the Jupiter planet. Okay. So, anyway,
No,
now the point.
Prabhuji, Brihaspati is the Jupiter planet. No,
Correct. Brahaspati
Shukracharya
is
is Venus. Shukra, Venus planet.
Venus, correct. I'm sorry. So now you see this, it's very important. Now, these personalities by themselves, in fact, Krishna is going to speak about Shukracharya in the upcoming verses. He's saying, among all these uh, personalities, I'm also Shukracharya. He's explaining that also in the next upcoming verses. So you
So,
see,
Prabhuji, what I wanted to understand is that now, if it is negative or if it is positive, it is just the proportion of the qualities is just different. Rest they have the same qualities as us. So in the end, we are all the same. No? Just that.
yes, from the spiritual perspective, When we say spiritual perspective, that is the soul. That means the Daitya also is a soul, the Devata is also a soul. From the spiritual perspective, there is no change.
Yeah, we are all same.
We are all same from the spiritual perspective. But the
Huh.
nature of a Daitya is asuric. That means he does not accept Vishnu, as the Supreme Lord. But the Devatas, they accept Vishnu as the Supreme Lord.
So, Prabhuji, can we say from the perspective of Mahabharat that Duryodhan was Asuric?
Yes, he is Kali personified. Duryodhana is Kali personified. So
Okay.
Duryodhana, he represents Kali, and
Okay.
he is completely against. He is completely against uh, the Lord. That's why he rejected. No, when Krishna showed him the universal form, also his
Still,
uh, Virata Rupa, still he rejected. He did not
correct.
accept that Krishna is the supreme Lord. He still wanted to fight with Krishna. So this is
Yes.
Asuric.
Okay. No, thank you, Prabhuji. I was just trying to understand from the thought process what happens in each yuga. I'm
Yes,
just from a
actually
different perspective.
true, very true. Now, you see, what makes us a Devata or Asura is nothing but our qualities.
Correct.
So, from the spiritual perspective, we are same. But what is making me a Daitya or what is making me a demon or a Devata is my quality.
So, Prabhuji, all in all, we are all creation of the God. And supposing whatever we have done in the previous yugas, it is just coming back to humanity. No, we have only done so many negative things. So that Asuric people are coming into Kali Yuga as a larger force. So we have to fight those battles because we have only created them in the first place.
Actually, there are, yes, that is one reason that we all have definitely done a lot of
Mass
wrong things.
confusions. Yeah,
And
yeah,
we have failed in Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and we have come into Kali Yuga.
yeah,
At least
yeah.
here we should try to pass. That's why Krishna has said and given us a very easy question paper, just chant Hare Krishna. It's the most easiest question paper that he can give to us. You just vibrate your tongue and you can go back to Bharat. Now, this is one force. Like you said, there is one force, is our own karma, misdeeds, that which has put us back into this Kali Yuga. At the same
Correct.
time, the effect of Kali. See, Kali is not a Yuga, just a time scale. Kali Purusha. There is a Dwapara Purusha. He's a person. Kali is a poor person, and what is Kali doing? He's actually forcing us to also do wrong things. Even if there is a devotee, and I want to become a devotee of Krishna, there are so many external factors which are bombarded onto my consciousness every day, which makes me or takes me away from Krishna. Like, for example, there might be a mobile itself. Kali is right there in your mobile. He takes you away from Krishna, isn't it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
It's
Too
an
much
external
Rava.
force also. One is our own karma, which is affecting us. At the same time, there are external negative factors like Kalipurusha, who is also affecting us. He's right there to destroy. He doesn't like, Kalipurusha doesn't like people becoming devotees. So he puts lot of obstacles in our life, in spiritual life.
Yes, Prabhuji. But Kali Purusha is also a creation of the God only. No?
Yes, he's a creation of God. After all, we are all creations of God. But why we are here today, like I told you earlier, we
Yes.
had that Asuric mentality that I want to become Krishna. We had that Hiranyakashipu mentality that I want to become the master. That's why we are okay. You go to this material world, Krishna says now, if you have to come to material world, then we have to face all this Kali Purusha, Dwapara Purusha, all this birth, old age, disease, death, this cycle has to continue. So that's why intelligence means now Krishna is saying, okay, you have somehow fallen. You had that desire. I forgive you. I'll forgive you also. But now you take my shelter. He's saying, Sarva dharmam paritajya mamekam sharanam raja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshashyami masucha. He's saying, now you come back. I will destroy
Yes.
all your sins. I'm ready to forgive you. But now you take my shelter. But that is exactly what we are not doing. What is this demonic people doing? They don't want to take shelter of Krishna. That's why they're demons. What are the devatas doing? Whenever there is problem, for example, Mother Earth, when she was having a problem from the Daityas, what did, she didn't say, I'll fight now. All that. She went to Brahma and Brahma went to Vishnu. They all prayed to Vishnu and they came and protected, isn't it? They take
Yes.
shelter of Krishna. We don't take shelter of Daityas don't take shelter of Krishna. So Daityas will remain here. Daityas will keep coming. But devotees, we will go back to him, back to God. That's an escape route for us.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji, for this wonderful explanations. for time,
Hmm.
etc. It was, I was very curious about it. That is.
Yes, yes, there is. It's a very interesting, fascinating thing, actually. And no matter how many times we discuss, there is always so many things to learn in this. So
Yes,
it's very
yes.
special.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, take care. Hare Krishna. Nice. We'll meet again next time.
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhuji. Today
Hare
Vinod
Krishna.
is actually outstation, so he could not join.
All right,
He's,
no problem. He can watch it later. He can
yes,
see this video later. No problem.
yes, 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 Prabhuji. Thank you,
Okay,
Prabhuji.
take care. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
Like,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Dev.